My main goal as a physician is to help people re-examine how they see their health and how they prioritize their health and how they see their health care. So now I want to show you the importance of re-examining our health care. There are a lot of different aspects to consider, but the two primary ones are getting away from treating symptoms while the underlying condition progresses, and getting away from this philosophy of a pill for every problem. And frequently those two issues can become one and the same, because so many of the pills that we use, the prescription drugs that we use, are used to treat a symptom and not cure the underlying problem. And that's one of the main reasons why, even though prescription drug use has continued to increase, so now that 60% of the population takes one prescription drug or more, and 15% takes 5 or more, but yet at the same time, we've not improved our obesity rates, our diabetes rates, or any of the chronic conditions that plague our society. So even though the prescription drug use has gone up, so has these chronic conditions. To me, that's a problem that needs fixing. And that's where re-examining our healthcare can be so important. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you that you should never take a prescription medication. There are plenty of examples where prescription medications can be very beneficial and even life-saving. But for the majority of the chronic conditions that plague our society, prescription medications usually just mask the symptoms, and we need to do the real work that's going to treat the underlying problem and prevent it. I like to use the example of smacking your leg against a coffee table. If you have a coffee table in your house and every time you walk past it, you bang your leg into that coffee table, you're going to get a nice big bruise. Well, what do? Do you take ibuprofen so the pain doesn't hurt anymore? This is fantastic. I fixed it. It doesn't hurt anymore. And then you walk past it and boom, you bang into it again. Take more ibuprofen to mask the symptom. Or do you move the coffee table? Do you pat it with something so if you kick it, it doesn't hurt anymore? That's the difference. It's a silly example, but it shows the importance of getting to the underlying problem rather than just masking the symptoms. So let's look at some specifics. Heartburn, reflux, one of the most common examples of this. We can use proton pump inhibitors or H2 blockers or other antacids that can help decrease the symptoms of reflux. But here's the secret. The reflux is still happening. The contents of our stomach, which are supposed to stay in our stomach, are still going up into our esophagus. That's the reflux. And even if we don't feel it, it can still cause problems or be a marker of other health problems. So what instead can we do about it? Well, there are a number of lifestyle interventions we can use to help reduce reflux. A big one is just focusing on what you eat and when you eat. So if you have a big meal late in the day that's full of either fat or simple carbohydrates, and it's an hour before you go to bed, that's a recipe for bad heartburn. If your stomach's full and you lie down flat, you're going to increase your risk of reflux. Also, a high fat, high sugar, or things like chocolate, caffeine, peppermint, those can all relax what's called the lower esophageal sphincter, and those can increase reflux. The same goes for alcohol. The same goes for being overweight. The same goes for stress. Increased stress can increase your reflux. Another one is food intolerances. A lot of people have different genetic susceptibilities and different food intolerances. So whether it's gluten, whether it's soy, whether it's dairy, whether it's sugar, whatever it is for you, you have to investigate it as an individual study and find what it is for you that worsens your reflux. So if you're not eating late at night, you're exercising regularly, your weight's pretty healthy, you're avoiding the obvious triggers like alcohol and caffeine, and you're still having reflux that requires a medication, now it's time for you to go on an elimination diet. You need to eliminate as many things as possible from your diet. You need a very simple nutrition plan to see if your reflux goes away, and then slowly start adding things back to see if you can identify that one trigger. If you can, now you know, and if you can get rid of it, then you can get off of the prescription medications. You won't need to mask the symptoms anymore if you can get to the underlying cause. Another big one is diabetes. In diabetes, most of the medication is focused at treating the blood sugar. And elevated blood sugars can definitely cause health problems, no question about it. And it's important to lower that blood sugar. But let's think about giving insulin specifically. If we give insulin to a type 2 diabetic, we're increasing the insulin levels in an effort to decrease the blood sugar levels. Well, insulin in and of itself is not harmless. In fact, it can increase inflammation and can increase fat storage. And when we're giving external insulin, our pancreas is downregulating its insulin production. So all of a sudden, it becomes less efficient. It's the opposite of what we need to be doing. In order to get to the bottom line of treating the diabetes, not just masking the blood sugar, but treating the diabetes, we need to make our body more sensitive to the insulin that we have and find if there's a way to improve our insulin production. Well, we actually have recent studies that show very low carbohydrate diet combined with regular exercise can cure diabetes. We're not just talking about manage the blood sugar, but actually reverse and cure the diabetes so that your body becomes much more sensitive to insulin and doesn't require medications. Now, this isn't easy. It's a pretty rigorous program and it may not work for everybody, but the concept is brand new to medicine. Diabetes doesn't have to be a disease that we just manage. It can be a pathophysiologic process that we reverse, and we can do it with lifestyle modifications, not just with medications to lower the blood sugar. So it's this concept of re-examining how we see our healthcare, to not treat the symptom, but get to the underlying cause. Another area where re-examining our healthcare can make a big difference is in the treatment of mild to moderate depression. Estimates are now that up to 1 in 6 Americans take antidepressant medications. But what's amazing about this is studies have also shown that changes in nutrition, regular exercise, regular sun exposure, and being in nature can be just as effective as treating the symptoms of depression as the medications themselves. And they come without the side effects. But it's easier to take the pill. It's quicker and you get faster results, and you don't have to make daily lifestyle interventions. But to me, it just makes so much more sense to focus on the lifestyle interventions, because not only do they help your depression, but they help every other aspect of your health. And the only side effects are improved energy, better sleep, feeling better, and overall better health. So we need to, again, re-examine how we see healthcare. Do we want a pill to mask the symptoms, or do we want to get to the underlying cause of the problem? And mild to moderate depression is just one more example of where there's a disconnect in our society and in our healthcare.